We got to give it up. Everybody got to salute. I need to see the salutes in the chat. I need to see it in the comments. I needed to see it from everybody part of this stream right now. Our captain, Jalen Brunson, went off, dropped 44 points on the Milwaukee Bucks to get this Knicks team this victory, a victory that we needed after an embarrassing loss in OKC. We're going to break down everything that happened during tonight's game. This is the post-game show for the Knicks versus the Milwaukee Bucks game. You could be on any post-game stream in the world right now, but you chose to be here with me, and I really do appreciate that. Shout out to the chat gang, Knicks Nation, I see you. We're going to get to everybody's take, I promise you. But before we get started, guys, like we always do before every post-game, you know I got to ask because we are on a mission to try to reach 25,000 subscribers. And we could really use your support. If you enjoy daily Knicks content like this, live streams, and all of the things that we drop on a daily basis, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button because it could really support all the great content that we're creating for you. But now, let's get to tonight's game. I mean, when you get blown off the floor, when you get destroyed on a Friday night against Oklahoma City, you don't want to see that happen again. What you want to see is a team come out, locked in, focused, and ready to drop the hammer. Ready and prepared because they know the team ahead, the game plan ahead, and what they need to do. And it starts with the leader. It starts with the captain, who admitted to everybody after the last loss that he needed to do better. He needed to step up, and he needed to make sure he was the leader for this team. Talk about aggressive. Jalen Brunson dropped 23 points in the first quarter. He sat basically all of the second quarter. He didn't really have to play much. Ended the first half with 27. He goes down in basically to start the third quarter with a stinger injury to his shoulder. He goes out. He doesn't come back basically till the whole third quarter is over. Mind you, like I said to start off this stream, he dropped 44 points and he barely played in the third quarter. What happens if he played in the third? He probably would have had another 50-ball game. That's the efficiency and how good he was looking for the entire game. I'm not sure what happened with his shoulder. I hope he's okay. We're going to break down that injury a little bit later on in the show and tell you exactly what happened and if he's okay to go. But he looks fine. Hopefully he's okay to go for the next game because we're going to need Jalen Brunson. It's clear. It's clear. Our stars tonight led the way. Jalen Brunson in that first quarter and Karl-Anthony Towns in that second quarter. He was lighting them up, getting whatever they wanted to do. The Knicks were abusing the Milwaukee Bucks. Inside, getting whatever they wanted. Outside, getting whatever they wanted. Penetrating, creating, getting to the line. And finally, it was back. Did you guys see it? I know you guys didn't miss it because I saw it too. We saw Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, and this entire Knicks team start passing the ball, moving themselves, getting others involved. And that is New York Knicks basketball. When they play like that, anything is possible. They are likely to win any game. And that is exactly what happened. So happy to see what happened with this Knicks team tonight. They got the victory. They dominated. They were up 13 points at half. And then in that third quarter, they moved the ball. They continued to dominate inside, outside. They got help from Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Karl-Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, campaign with a huge game off the bench. All of that led to an avalanche of the Knicks dropping so many points each and every quarter. And now the Knicks have another dominant win over the Milwaukee Bucks during this season. And we have a win to talk about as well, too. We're going to break down exactly how New York was dominant, how they blew out the Milwaukee Bucks by 30-plus points, and why they did it in dominant fashion. We're going to talk about all of that today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And make sure you have notifications turned on as well, too. So that way, anytime we drop new content, you get notified. And now, let's get started. Jalen Brunson shows why he's the captain by taking charge of this team and dominating from start to finish and letting this Knicks team, helping this Knicks team get a win against a fully healthy Milwaukee Bucks team. Let me run that back to you again. Fully healthy, fourth in the East Milwaukee Bucks team who has been playing incredible basketball. But we showed today why the Knicks are here and the Milwaukee Bucks are here. There are levels to it. We said it the other night. If there are levels between OKC and the Knicks, right now, there are levels between the Knicks and the Milwaukee Bucks. Not only because of our talent, not only because of our chemistry, not only because of the way we can stretch the floor. It's the way we believe. We trust in it's the way we believe. We trust in each and every player on the floor. We trust in the pass. And we also understand whoever's going to touch the ball, they're going to have an impact. Talk about an impact. Jalen Brunson, who has been struggling from three, who has been struggling with his shot, just been struggling to find any type of offense over the last couple of games. And he's not made any excuses. He's taken it on the chin, and he stated he needs to play better. First quarter against Milwaukee. Talk about play better. He could not be stopped. He was attacking inside. He was shooting three-pointers. He was going around people. And here's the thing. I'm not sure what's wrong with Doc Rivers. I think he has to be checked. I think Doc Rivers might need to be checked a little bit because Doc Rivers, for some wild reason, was throwing single coverages at Jalen Brunson. While I drink some water here, just process that real quick. Doc Rivers throwing single coverages at Jalen Brunson. Think about that for a second. Going back to it. Doc Rivers threw single coverages at Jalen Brunson. And the funniest part is Mike Breen talking about Andre Jackson, I believe his name is, right? He's talking about this kid. He talks about this kid basically for as long as he's in the game, for maybe a couple of minutes, because JB uses him as food and then gets him into foul trouble. And then after that, they put AJ Green on him. What happens to AJ Green? He gets into foul trouble. Then what happens later on in the game? They put Pat Connaughton on him. What happens to him? He also gets into foul trouble. They could not stop Jalen Brunson. And for the life of me, I could not understand why they were throwing single coverages at Jalen Brunson. Doc, you didn't think it didn't work? He scored 23 points in the first quarter. You telling me it didn't work? You maybe want to double him. Now you know why the entire league has to double and triple team Jalen Brunson. Because if you don't, he's liable to give you performances like that. Not only did he score, by the way, he was giving you passing. He was giving you rebounds. He's never going to get enough credit for it, but he was playing the passing lanes, playing very good defense, getting a lot of steals as well, too, getting plays in transition, pushing the ball up, and ensuring that the Knicks got another basket. And when Jalen Brunson was out of the game because he needed to rest, and credit to Tom Thibodeau, because tonight he made an adjustment that I never thought he was going to make. He matched Milwaukee, did he not? Because in that first quarter, Giannis played the entire first, did he not? Jalen Brunson played the entire first. I believe Josh Hart and Mikal played the entire first as well. I might have to check that, but I know a number of players did. All I'm trying to say is Tom Thibodeau kept Jalen Brunson on the bench almost for as long as Giannis was on the bench for the Bucks. And he didn't bring him in until they both were supposed to be in the game at the same time, basically matching star power for star power. Karl-Anthony Towns was led to take charges that second quarter. He wasn't that aggressive in the first quarter. I obviously saw what Brunson was doing. Let the captain go off. No problem. But in the second quarter, it shows you why the non-Brunson minutes that we used to complain about all season long last year, it doesn't matter anymore. We have no complaints because now we have buckets coming from OG, buckets coming from Campaign, buckets coming from Deuce McBride, Mikal Bridges, who we'll get into because he wasn't that aggressive tonight He wasn't doing exactly what I wanted him to do. We're going to break down Mikal Bridges' game a little bit later when we talk about the minutes breakdown. But Karl-Anthony Towns knew the mission, he knew the game plan, and he was excited. And he dropped so many different things tonight. He was giving you assists. He was giving you points. He was giving you rebounds. He was aggressive inside. He was taking it to everybody. Bobby Portis has nothing on him. He can't handle him. So he took him all the way to the paint. Nobody could stop him. Brook Lopez is too old, too slow, and cannot bang with Karl-Anthony Towns. He got dominated. And eventually, when Giannis was on him, it didn't matter because Giannis was committing those silly fouls as well, too. Shout out the silly fouls because even though Karl-Anthony Towns did do some good things, I have to point something out because it's something that still bothers me a little bit. Karl-Anthony Towns has to stop complaining when he's running up the floor. He has to stop doing that. There were a number of times during this game. I know you guys saw it as well, too. And it's not only Towns. I saw a number of other Knicks do it as well, too. But Towns does it a lot. He's arguing with the refs, saying he got hit. A lot of times he has a gripe. He does get hit. But when he does that, it makes it 4-on-5 on the other end because the Bucks, whoever we're playing, are running up the court. And when he's back there, all the other Knicks are up court. It's 4-on-5. So they get around the Knicks easier. They're able to get inside, and they're dominating inside. So a small critique there. I know Josh Hart used to do it. He's working on it. For the most part, he stopped it. Karl-Anthony Towns needs to do the same thing. A lot of other Knicks players needs to really adapt that. We can't complain. They're allowing more physicality this year. We understand that. We can't be surprised by it. We have to play it by the game. Some games are going to allow more to go by. Some games are not going to allow more to go by. But we cannot keep complaining. So Karl-Anthony Towns, the only thing I'll critique him for during this game is his complaining. That's it. His dominance in terms of how he was able to get whatever he wanted inside. The three-point shot, dominating inside the paint, getting to the line. It didn't matter who was underneath the paint, who was on top of him. The Bucks were never blocking out, never boxing out. That's why New York was able to do whatever they wanted to do. You know why that dominance existed? Not only because they were passing the ball, it's also because of the way they were cutting. OG Anunoby had the same cut move, the exact same cut move 5 times during that game, and Milwaukee couldn't stop it. 3 of those times, OG Anunoby was found by Karl-Anthony Towns. The other times by Jalen Brunson. This is what I'm talking about. This Knicks team has the talent on it to be a championship contender. And when they play like this, and they compete like this, and they show out on defense like this, because the defense in the first quarter was not great. They allowed Giannis to basically do what Jalen Brunson did, anything he wanted. But as the game waned and we got later into the game, second quarter, especially the third quarter, we were shutting down what the Bucks are trying to do, making them a half-court team, making them shoot jump shots, shoot three-point shots. And they were missing a lot of those three-point shots. They were missing a lot of those jump shots. They were not getting as easy inside the paint. That was the difference. And when we break down the team stats a little bit later on in the show, you're going to see the main reason the Knicks won this game is because of their three-point shooting. And the reasons they lost all the other games, for a couple of reasons, but one of the main reasons was because of the way they shot the three or their inability to shoot the three. This game, it wasn't a factor. And thankfully, because of that reason, because we passed the ball, because we locked down on defense, we saw OG Anunoby and a number of other Knicks hit the three ball, hit open shots, get open shots, create open shots, cut inside, beautiful basketball at times. This is the Knicks team that I want to see each and every night. Moving ourselves, moving the ball, cutting inside, easy basketball, easy plays, beautiful basketball, and locked in on defense. That's what this Knicks team needs to give you. If they give you that, that's what a championship contender looks like. This is the level they need to perform at. I hope when they watch the film session, this is the number one thing that Tom Thibodeau says. But you know what? On a Sunday night where we could have went home unhappy, Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns, they did not allow that to happen. Instead, they allowed the Knicks to walk home with a W, get that victory, protect home court, and blow out Milwaukee in the process. Blow them out. destroy Milwaukee. They're done. We did it twice this season, when they were kind of healthy and when they were fully healthy. I don't want to hear it. Milwaukee can't say nothing. If you're not at the top of the conference in the West or the East, you cannot talk to the Knicks, because right now it's an exclusive affair and the Knicks are part of the conversation and the Bucks are not. You want to know why? Because when you drop the hammer like this and you dominate them 140 to 106, you can say that. You can talk like that, and you can say there are levels to this, ladies and gentlemen, and the Knicks just proved why. 140 to 106, the Knicks dominate, destroy, obliterate Milwaukee. Thanks to an impressive performance from Jalen Brunson, who gave you 44 points, and Karl-Anthony Towns, who also gave you 30 points as well, too. An amazing game, especially if you're a Knicks fan. If you're a Buck fan, probably not a great game for you. But honestly, for the Knicks, who have been destroyed over these last couple of games, been taken to the woodshed, been blown out, and a lot of these affairs not even been close, winning like this, dominating like this, I don't know about you guys. It felt so good. It felt so good to dominate, to play the way that we know we can play. I miss this squad. I miss this team. I miss that play. And we finally saw it come back. And we know what it looks like when it comes back and what it leads to. Winning. Winning. And that's what we want. It doesn't matter who does it. It just matters that we win. And we won. Let's go to the quarter-to-quarter breakdown real quick. Talk about exactly what happened during tonight's game. Break down exactly where the Knicks dominated. And from the quarter-to-quarter breakdown, you can see the Knicks scored 30-plus points in each and every quarter. The Knicks won in each and every quarter. And the Knicks dominated in each and every quarter. Maybe aside from that first quarter, they still dominated 33 to 36. And the reason that quarter was so close is because Jalen Brunson gave you 23. And I don't know exactly the points that Giannis gave you in that first, but he was scoring a lot at will inside the paint, doing whatever he wanted to do. Yes, he did travel a few times, not gonna lie, but some other times he didn't travel, still dunked all over the Knicks. We all saw that. But after that, Knicks locked in, they played more defense, and we saw it. 39 points dropped in the second quarter to 29. Karl-Anthony Towns had a lot to do with that. Jalen Brunson coming back in that late in that quarter had a lot to do with that. And they were moving the ball extremely well. But we cannot forget the contributions of one campaign. Campaign in that second quarter. And when he eventually returned and came back in that fourth, he was lighting it up, giving you everything. Floater shots, gave you that. Lockdown defense, gave you that. Three-point shots, gave you that. He was on fire tonight. One of the best reasons the Knicks bench was so good today. We need more of that from Campaign. We need more of that from Deuce McBride, from Preston Achua. If they continue to get significant minutes, they need to utilize those minutes and do something with them. We saw what Campaign did with them, and we saw how good he looked. We need to see what other players can do as well. But if they can do similar things to Campaign, the Knicks are going to continue to be a dangerous team, because Campaign was not letting that Milwaukee bench breathe. He was not letting that Milwaukee bench do anything, dropping so many points, and they could not stop him. And if they try to stop him from three, he has enough IQ to pass the ball or get it back inside and still drive and finish. Very, very good quarter from Campaign and also from Karl-Anthony Towns. And I think you saw it right there. That's why it was 39 to 29. And then that third quarter, 33 to 27. And the fourth, when Jalen Brunson is able to return and come back and basically end the game with 44 points, the Knicks close out that fourth quarter, 32 to 17. And they continue to do it the exact same way, attacking Milwaukee, dominating Milwaukee, doing whatever they wanted to do inside, passing the ball, getting open three-point shots, hitting those open three-pointers, getting buckets in transition, and pushing the ball up. And the Knicks, when they push the ball up, when they try to score in transition, when they're hitting their three-point shots, when they're dominating on the rebounding boards, they are one of the hardest teams to beat. And the Milwaukee Bucks saw that Knicks team tonight. And that's why it was a major problem. And they had no chance, no shot against anything that we were going to run. Now, that has to do it with regards to me. Now, that has to do for regards to the game, what we saw in the game, what the Knicks were doing, what the Bucks were doing, what the Bucks were trying to do. And even though the Bucks tried to do zone, exactly what the Oklahoma City Thunder did, the problem is the Knicks this time around were making their shots. So you can't really play zone against this Knicks team who's making their three-point shots as well as this team was. Also, the talent level is not the same to OKC. Milwaukee's good, but they're not as good as Oklahoma City. And they're not as good as the Knicks. And the Knicks proved that tonight in blowout fashion when we were able to dominate and destroy them, pick them apart, go inside and get whatever we wanted at will. Cut inside, get whatever we wanted at will. Hit three-point shots whenever we wanted to. Thanks to our two all-stars in Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns. The captain tonight, 44 points on 16 of 26 shooting. So efficient. 5 of 10 from 3. 6 assists. 1 turnover. My goodness. He did not turn the ball over. He gave you rebounds as well. Jalen Brunson was just phenomenal. Let me drink some more water here as you guys take a look at this graphic. Excuse me, guys. Appreciate you. Got my voice back, and now I can start doing this again. You know how I am when I get so hyped. Jalen Brunson versus the Bucks. Like I said, you see what his stats are here. But I got to mention again, the 6 assists to 1 turnover. 6 assists to 1 turnover. He is not making sure anybody gets that ball besides his teammates. He is finding other players. He is making sure that Milwaukee has no answer for him. And even when they think they have an answer for him, he still goes inside the paint, crosses up his defender, and is able to destroy anybody in front of him. Now, we have to thank Doc Rivers for Jalen Brunson having such a good night. Because if Doc Rivers didn't go single coverage against Jalen in that first quarter, basically for the entire game, really, then I don't think JB scores 44. If he double teams him and triple teams him, maybe another player goes off for 40 or 44. But Jalen was able to exploit Jalen was able to exploit exactly what the Bucks were giving him. Jalen was like, wait, hold on. You're going to give me isolation one-on-one play? You know I'm Jalen Brunson? You're going to only send one defender at me? Okay, I'm going to cook you. I'm going to cook you for the entire game until you change it. Oh, you're not going to change it? Okay, I'm going to continue to cook you and continue to cook you and continue to cook you. And that's what he did against every single defender. It didn't matter what Milwaukee did. Any single coverage that they gave to Jalen Brunson, he cooked that coverage. You need to double team Jalen. You need to double or triple team him, because if you don't, he's going to torch you and your team. And that's what he did. 44 points on 16 of 26. He didn't even make it hard for him. At least make it difficult. He didn't even turn the ball over. 5 of 10 from 3. And Jalen has been struggling from the field over the last couple of games. But you wouldn't know it if you watched today's game, because he dominated. And it's easy to do that at times when you don't have that much defense on you. And I think that goes to tell you, if Jalen Brunson was getting single coverage for the entire season, he'd probably be putting up all these numbers. But the league is smart to Jalen. They know that Jalen is that good. And when Jalen is known to be that good, he's never going to see single coverages unless your name is Doc Rivers. But even if he did see double teams or triple teams, we have other players on this team to help us get out of the hole and win this game. And Karl-Anthony Towns always helps us Karl-Anthony Towns always helps us whenever we're in a pinch and we need some scoring. We need another player to go off. And really, if Jalen Brunson didn't drop 44 points tonight, then I guarantee we would be talking about Karl-Anthony Towns right now. Towns tonight. I mean, this all-star duo came up the show. I don't know about Giannis and Dame, even though Giannis and Dame by the numbers are said to be the best duo in the league. I don't know. I'm looking at Jalen and Cat. I'm looking at a Knicks blowout victory against the Bucks, and I'm thinking I'm changing my vote to this duo being one of the most dominant in the league. Karl-Anthony Towns tonight against Milwaukee. 30 points, 10 of 16 from the field. So extremely efficient as well, too. It is insane to get 30 points on 16 shots, 18 rebounds, 5 of them offensive, and 4 assists. I mean, he is passing the ball with the best of them. He is finding other players around the court, wherever they are. But the best pass that Karl-Anthony Towns has perfected is the pass inside. He found OG a number of times. He found Mikal Bridges a number of times. He found Josh Hart a number of times. I don't know how he does it. I just don't know how he moves, how he passes, how he sees the floor, how he holds the ball with one hand like this behind his head and then tosses it like it's a frisbee inside the paint to somebody open, and it's just an easy lay-in. But he does it so often. He's never going to get enough credit for it, ladies and gentlemen. But he really is a good passer. He really is such an elite playmaker. He can find you when you're cutting. He can find you when you're inside the paint and not moving because nobody can see you besides Karl-Anthony Towns. He can find you when you're open for a 3 in the corner or on the perimeter. His two-man game with OG Anunoby or at times with Jalen Brunson is just phenomenal. They just know how to play together. They have a really good give and go. They haven't shown it to us in the last couple of games. I hope they're able to do that in the next couple of games because I really think it's good to fake out defenses. So hopefully we're able to see that. But if they continue to play like this, they're going to show you why they're one of the best duos in the league. You cannot cook the Bucks like that and not be considered one of the best duos in the league, especially when you do it against the duo on the Bucks that is rated the best duo in the league. They're at least rated better than Towns and Brunson is, and that definitely should not be the case. Oh, and by the way, Damian Lillard, for some crazy reason, is ahead of Jalen Brunson in the All-Star voting. We blew them out by 140 to 106. The next All-Star voting package voting results that I see, I better see Jalen far ahead of Damian Lillard, and it shouldn't even be close. So hopefully that's to come because JB deserves it, especially after all-star performances like this. The Knicks did it. They did exactly what they needed to do against a very good Bucks team. That Bucks team, by the way, you can say it was a back-to-back. You could say they had tired legs. You can say this. You can say that. I'm not going to give them any credit at all. This is the NBA. Nobody gives the Knicks credit when we lose or when we win. So for me, when we beat a team as good as the Bucks or any team in the league for that matter, I'm going to celebrate that win, talk about how we win, talk about the dominance, and make sure we're on the winning track. And the Knicks got back on the winning track tonight. They did it by playing Knicks basketball. They went back to that brand of basketball that allowed them to go on that 9-game win streak. And if they continue to play like that, we're going to win a lot more games than we lose. And that's why it's good. And I'm very hyped to be talking about this game right now. But something else we should talk about is Jalen Brunson, what happened to that shoulder. As we saw early in that third quarter, he basically hit that shoulder. I'm not sure if it was Brook Lopez he made contact with or just a play or he just, for some reason, made a wrong turn with it. But it hurt him enough where that shoulder went limp. He called out of the game, and he went straight to the locker room. Thankfully, to James L. Edwards of The Athletic, he gives us an update on what that injury was for Jalen Brunson and if we should be concerned about it. So Edwards said regarding that injury for Brunson, and this is coming from Thibs. Thibs said that Brunson had a stinger in his shoulder. Said that they'll see how he responds overnight, but doesn't seem to be overly concerned. Initially, when I saw the injury to Jalen Brunson, that's exactly what I thought it was. because it didn't look like it was a lot of contact. So even if he did hit it, it was probably something that where it was in pain. It didn't look like he was in a lot of pain. He probably knew what it was as well, too. He knew he needed to shake it off, get some rest, get some heat and ice on it. That's probably what he did. And the crazy part about Brunson, once that happened, he left, he walked out of the locker room, walked all the way back, and came right back onto the court like he never left. That is leadership. That's your captain. Talk about never giving up, never wanting to come out of the game and telling everybody, nope, I want this victory, I want this win, and I'm not going to leave it up to chance. Jalen Brunson did that. We have to give him credit. The captain deserves it. Shout out to Jalen Brunson for coming back on the floor, and not only coming back, but coming back and scoring efficiently and completing that 44-point performance, giving you 6 assists as well, a couple of rebounds, a lot of great three-point shots as well. And the Milwaukee Bucks for the entire evening had no answer for Jalen Brunson. Tried as they might, they couldn't stop JB, they couldn't stop Karl-Anthony Towns, and they really couldn't stop anything that the Knicks were really trying to run. For that entire second, third, fourth quarter, the Knicks owned and dominated the Milwaukee Bucks up until the fourth quarter, where the Knicks were up by so many points, or it felt like the game was out of reach at that point, that Milwaukee kind of gave up, waved the white flag, entering in the bench, and that was game right there. And I love to see that as a Knicks fan, because we never really get to see the Knicks dominate and destroy teams like that. So when it happens, not going to lie, I relish in it in a little bit. I really do like it. Before we go in to all of the team stats that we have to go into and things like that, I want to break down exactly what we saw. I want to go into the team stats, break down the shot chart, and all those things as well, too, with you guys. The minutes breakdown as well. But before we go into that, I want to go to the game chat, see what you guys have to say, get your take about tonight's game, and see what you guys have to say about anything you guys saw tonight, what you liked, what you didn't like. Would love to hear from you guys right now. So let's go to that before we break down the rest of tonight's stats. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Get some water as I break down your stats here. On Dio says, hit that like, subscribe button and to the channel and enjoy the show. Hey, my guy, I appreciate you. 718 Fresh says, Mikal is a sixth man. I don't know who Knicks fans think he is. It's embarrassing. We're going to get to Mikal Bridges, but I got to say, it really, really was not great from Mikal Bridges. I didn't like that at all. I wish it was a better concept for Mikal Bridges to shoot better, to have a better offensive game. A lot of times tonight from Mikal, I thought he was acting like Jericho Sims. He'd take the ball in his hands, he'd catch it, and then he'd pass it right away. Not really playing like somebody who wanted to be aggressive with the ball, and I didn't like that too much from Mikal. We need him to take more than 2 shots, and I think he had 2 shots for that game almost up till the midway point of that third quarter. Embarrassing. That just can't happen, ladies and gentlemen. There's no way it can. Ski says, Troy, can we get some consistency? If you're talking about some consistency from the Knicks in terms of their defense, they absolutely need it. They need some consistency on the defensive end, on the offensive end, the way they pass the ball and move the ball, especially this year. I want to go to the super chats. I believe I got another one early on in the show, and I did not get to it. So let me read both of these super chats as well so I make sure I don't miss anything here. So Michael Parker gave us a $5 super chat. I appreciate you, my guy. Thank you. Says, I'm hearing that Herb Jones can be got. At what cost? He can be got. He can be afforded by many teams. The Knicks are not one of them. The Knicks cannot afford that contract or the package it would take to get him. We don't have enough assets. There are more teams in the league right now that are going to be able to get him. So I appreciate your comment. Appreciate the super chat. It's just unrealistic at this point. Yuri, my guy, and a moderator as well, too. Great member as well. Really appreciate him really appreciate him always being part of the post games. Really could not be running any of these post games without him. So a lot of thanks to him. Yuri says, with a $2 super chat, Mikal impacted the game in other ways. 2 blocks. No, he did. And I appreciate your super chat as well, Yuri. I'm going to go back to the fan part here. Give me a second to switch that. He did impact the game in other ways. He did have good defense. That's why you didn't hear me kill him. You haven't heard me kill him really as of yet. but it is important to talk about offense. He did give you some things on defense, but you can't have 2 field goals. You can't. Because then at some point in time, it's really 4-on-5. We can't have 4-on-5 with Mikal Bridges on the floor. If you are on the floor, you have to be a threat. He wasn't a threat a lot of the times in the game. He was passing the ball up, not really taking a lot of shots. You have to be a threat. And I thought he was not doing that a lot. So just something to keep in mind. Again, not killing Mikal Bridges. He hasn't really done that a lot. We have to keep this all into our minds here. Mikal Bridges, for the most part, has been a pretty good player for the Knicks. Has he had a bad stretch as of late? Absolutely. Is it okay to call him out for that bad stretch? Yes, it's okay to do that. But also while understanding it's a bad stretch. So both things can be true here. Isaac says, winning this game was cool, but I just wish we had the same energy against OKC. I mean, you're talking to me as well, too. I agree. I 100% agree. I mean, beating Milwaukee feels good, but if we beat OKC and then beat Milwaukee, it would have felt 100% better. By the way, Red Cup gang, if you're in the house, Red Cups in the house, appreciate you guys. Might have to create the cup with this for the Red Cup gang. Really have to do that. Cheers to the Red Cup gang. Carl Knight says, OG took Giannis to jail in that second half. I got to say, OG Anunoby and his defense was very, very good in that second half. Although, I will say it was a team effort collectively because a lot of times when OG was trying to go into the paint, Josh Hart was in there to bother him. Karl-Anthony Towns was in there to bother him and also help as well too. Mikal Bridges rotated a lot on him as well. So he got a lot of help. It wasn't just OG Anunoby. We got to put things in perspective. I thought the Knicks did a good job on Anunoby as a whole in that second half, where in the first half, I thought they allowed him to run a little bit more unstoppable. But they were able to put a couple of bodies in front of him, and the Bucks couldn't make any threes. So they couldn't make the Knicks pay for putting additional bodies on Giannis. Because when he passed it, none of those threes went in. And you'll see it based on the team stats when we break it down. Let's go ahead and break down. Well, let's break down some more comments before we go into the rest of the game chat here. Excuse me, rest of the stats here for the game. Yuri says, listen, I would say that this game is a signature win. I would, you know what? Maybe. I put it on the fence. I'll tell you why in a second. Yuri says as well, Troy calling it Johnny Walker in the Red Cup. Really? Johnny. Incorrect. But I am a Johnny fan. So that was scary that you knew that. Very good, though. Harlem World says, Knicks win when Mikal takes less shots. OG Anunoby overrated? Does nothing for my liking. I don't care. Ooh, I don't agree with that. OG Anunoby's defense is great. Amazing. Now, maybe he hasn't been shooting the 3-ball extremely well. His offense hasn't been great. But I thought this game, he was looking for his shot a little bit more. He was cutting a lot, getting inside the paint a lot more, finding himself a lot more inside the paint, calling for the ball. And honestly speaking, the Bucks weren't able to stop him a lot. Especially when he was inside the paint. He had a lot of patience. Let his defender go by him and then was able to score. So I don't know. I wouldn't agree with that at all. Carl Knight says Sims needs to be traded and will be good. I think Sims might be traded. Another DNP, even when everybody else plays on the bench for another garbage time game. I would agree that he might be traded. To what team, for what, I have no idea as of yet. I just know we need more players on the bench that Tom Thibodeau trusts. So that's the only thing I'm looking for at this point in time. We're going to take one more comment from Dovid, and then we're going to go right into the team stats here. So Dovid says, love the play off the bench by campaign. Wonder if Sims is being traded soon since he didn't play in garbage time. Thoughts, Troy? Well, I kind of just answered that. I guess I can, go over it one more time. I don't know if Jericho Sims has been out of the rotation, right? So I think him being out of the rotation is one thing. Now, do I think him being out of the rotation is a sign that he could be traded to another team and they might be actively looking to deal him for maybe picks or a player in picks? Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely on the table here because Jericho Sims right now has no role on this team and he's taking up space on that bench. And honestly, if we're going to have a player on the bench taking up space, it might as well be a player that Tom Thibodeau likes, trusts, respects, and wants to play. So get Tom Thibodeau more of those players. If you need to trade, go to Westchester, go to the buyout market, do it. I do think that teams are calling the Knicks about Jericho Sims. We reported that a lot of times already. We reported about Mitchell Robinson and teams calling about him. So clearly, there are teams interested in making a trade with the Knicks. The only question is, will the Knicks be interested in entertaining any of those trades? Only time will tell. But what I want to go back to tonight's Game 4 and talk about is the team stats and also the minute-to-minute breakdown. Not only do I want to break down the minutes for the Knicks players, I also want to highlight some players and what they did. Mikal Bridges will be one of the main players that I highlight for tonight and what he did and kind of didn't do. Because I want to give him a little bit of credit, but I also think he is well-deserved of some criticism tonight. Let's go ahead and break down those stats today. As you can see here with the minutes for the starters, like we normally do, and I love all the people in the chat right now who love when I break down the stats or have these type of analysis here. If you guys love what you're watching right now, it really does me a great favor if you can hit that like button, get this video in the algorithm, subscribe if you're not already done that. We just hit 23,000 on the channel and trying to get to 25K. So guys, please, your support means a lot. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already there. With the minutes tonight, though, as you can see, with Mikal Bridges, you got 37 minutes for Mikal. You got 31 minutes for OG Anunoby. Karl-Anthony Towns with 36. Jalen Brunson with 29. Probably would have played more if he didn't have to go out in that third quarter. Josh Hart with 35. Preston Achiuwa with 15 off the bench. Matt Ryan, 3 minutes in garbage time. Jacob Toppin, 5 minutes in garbage time. Ariel Huck, 45 minutes in garbage time. Cam Payne, 14 meaningful minutes off the bench. Miles McBride, 20 minutes off the bench. Landry Shamet, 6 minutes off the bench in garbage time. And Kolek, 3 minutes off the bench in garbage time with another DNP for Jericho Sims, coach's decision. Now, before we break down those team stats that you see right there on the right-hand side of the screen, I want to go to Mikal Bridges. He took 5 shots tonight. 4 of those shots were threes. So 5 shots tonight, and 4 of those shots were 3. He gave you 6 points and 6 assists with 2 rebounds. So, silver lining with Mikal Bridges is he gave you assists. He was passing the ball, finding a lot of players. You got to give him credit there. I like that. He was playing good defense as well, too. I thought he was stopping a lot of players, or at least putting a player or a body in front of them, putting a hand in front of them, bothering them, rotating well. Help defense was very good. So on that end, I thought he did pretty well. But you can't take 5 shots. You can't take 5 shots. You got to be more aggressive. I know Jalen Brunson was going off. And I know Karl-Anthony Towns was going off. That's not an excuse to take 5 shots. You can't take 5 shots. You got to take more than 5 shots, especially when you're part of that core, part of that big 3 or 4, whatever you want to call it for the Knicks. So you got to take more shots. You got to be able to utilize who you have on this team. And when they're out there, they have to have an impact. They have to do something. He really wasn't doing anything, not from the offensive side of the ball. And we need him to do more on offense, because if he doesn't, it's 4-on-5, and we don't want to have more disadvantages when we're out there. I know he was good on defense. I like that he got some block shots. I like that he got some rebounds, some passing as well, too. Got a lot of great assists. I like that he was playing the passing lane. I like that he was bothering some players. That's great. Why did you only give me 5 shots? What happened to the rest of your game? We have to call it out. I would have done it to anybody else. If that was Jalen or Karl-Anthony Towns, I would have done it to them too. So I have to do it to Mikal Bridges. And even if he missed the shots that he took, at least take them. He wasn't even taking them. He was passing every time he got the ball. It's like he was infected with Jericho Sims syndrome, because Jericho Sims is the same way. Every time he gets the ball, he looks to pass it. That's what Mikal Bridges was doing tonight. I'm not used to seeing that out of Mikal Bridges. And honestly, I don't want to see that again. So that's something to know for Mikal Bridges. I want to mention OG Anunoby tonight. Now, maybe he didn't have the most efficient game, but he still gave you 12 shots up. 5 out of 12, 31 minutes, 1 of 5 from 3. 2 assists, 1 rebound, and 11 points. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest stat line, but he was still a threat. He was still taking a lot of shots, and that's the point. You need to be able to take shots. You need to be able to be a threat. Karl-Anthony Towns, you see what he did? 16 shots. We talked about him already. Talked about Jalen Brunson already. With Josh Hart tonight, another player who did a lot for us. And again, you can see it on the box score. But if you watch the game as well, he is your everyman. 35 minutes. Now, yes, I want him to put up a couple more shots as well, too. But Josh Hart, honestly, if he doesn't score, I'm not so mad because he gives you everything else. Gave you 11 points, 4 assists, and 11 rebounds. Another double-double. Josh Hart is exactly the player you need him to be when he's playing with the starting unit. He gives you a little bit of everything. So I like what I saw from Josh Hart. Cam Payne, though, in 14 minutes, he put up 10 shots, 6 of 10, 4 of 7 from 3, 18 points, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds. That campaign was aggressive and exactly the campaign you want to see out there. He was taking shots. He was making sure he was being aggressive. He pulled so many defenders with him. He was also making sure he got others involved. And I think if he played some more minutes off the bench, he would have a greater impact. Hopefully, Tom Thibodeau, as we move forward throughout this season, and he gets used to the 9-man and the 10 players that he has, maybe he'll start to go 10 out. And we'll have 5 legit bench players and 5 legit starters. And maybe he'll dedicate more time to the starters, more time to the bench like he does to the starters. Under 35 minutes for the starters. The rest of the minutes go to the bench. Everybody's happy. Everybody's rested. And this is the recipe for success. He is playing his bench a little bit more. We have to give him credit for that. But it's still not a legit 9-man rotation or even a 10-man rotation. He needs to expand it if we're really going to beat the top teams in the league. All the top teams in the league play about 9 to 10 players, sometimes 11 players. 7 to 8-man rotation are not going to get it done. So while I can give Tom Thibodeau credit for some of the adjustments that he made, especially with Jalen Brunson playing the amount of minutes to Giannis Antetokounmpo, basically, especially in that second quarter, holding him out, especially as long as Giannis was out. I thought that was a good adjustment. Some other players that he put into the game as well, too, thought that was a good adjustment. Not that many late adjustments as well, too. Good timeouts, I thought, from Tom Thibodeau. But even with all of that, there are still some things he could do better, like expand the rotation with more significant minutes. So even though he took a step forward, he could still take another couple of step forwards. He could still improve. There are still things he can do better. And that's exactly what I'm going to be looking for as New York continues to push forward throughout this season, tries to get these victory and hopefully put together another win streak because we need one. And after this Bucks victory, they likely can actually do that. So you like to see that. Happy what I saw from the bench and from the starting unit today. Only I did wish that I saw more aggression again from Mikal Bridges and also from Deuce McBride in terms of his efficiency. Hopefully he can get that up too. And Landry Shamet, hopefully he's able to play a little bit more minutes in 6 minutes. I really do want to see what a legit 9-man rotation looks with this roster. And hopefully we're able to see that a little bit later on as we move forward throughout the season. Let's break down the team stats here and show you exactly why the Knicks were so dominant. Milwaukee versus New York. The Knicks shot 58% from the field, 43% from 3. Ladies and gentlemen, we shot 12.9% from 3 last game against OKC. To shoot 43% this game sounds like a miracle. But that was the difference. When we're making shots, that's how dangerous we can be. But also conversely, when we're not making shots or taking shots that are forced, so we're unable to make them, that's how bad we can look. It's a very stark difference, but it's something that we have to understand because that 3-point ball, when it's going in, the Knicks and their basketball looks beautiful. But when it's not, doesn't look as good. But tonight, it looked great. Milwaukee, not as good. Again, the Knicks, 43.9% from 3. Milwaukee, 29.4% from 3. Turnovers, Knicks keep it low again for 12 turnovers. Very good. Milwaukee at 14 turnovers. The Knicks, again, dominant on the rebounding, especially the defensive boards. They dominated by 20 plus on the defensive boards, but 49 to 39 in terms of total rebounds for the Knicks. So they win that. They win the field goal shooting, and they win the 3-point shooting as well, too. They also keep turnovers lower than Milwaukee. They win in all of the key categories. If that happens, and you're passing the ball extremely well, and that's another stat we're going to get to very, very shortly, the amount of team assists the Knicks did, because they were passing the ball very, very well. When you're doing all of that, you're making your threes, you're hitting from the arc, you're hitting from everywhere on the court, you're making sure you're taking good shots, you're getting the rebounds, you're blocking shots, You're not making things easy for your opponent. You're going to win, but you're also going to blow out the other team. That's why the Knicks were so dominant, because they were doing the things that Milwaukee were so weak against. Milwaukee can't handle a team that runs in transition. Milwaukee can't handle a team that can pass the ball like New York and shoot the ball like New York and can drive inside and attack and cut inside. They're not ready for any of that. It's clear they're not ready for any of that because New York was able to exploit them all night long, especially in that third quarter and in that fourth quarter. They did it so badly that they made Milwaukee give up. They made the Bucks give up. They were attacking on so many plays. In the fourth quarter, legs a little tired, little less trying, little less effort because you're down by 20 plus. It's about 4 minutes left to go. You know you already lost. You want to just get out of there and go home at that point. And their body language was clearly showing that. That's probably why they got pulled, honestly. But it doesn't matter to me because we're talking about a Knicks victory and New York winning against a very good, fully healthy Milwaukee Bucks team. We won this one. Now we have to lock in, focus on Detroit because we play them tomorrow in a back-to-back, and we have to win that game as well, too. Remember, it's all about stringing together victories so we can get that win streak again. It's more about being that complete team more than the win streak. But as you win, you start to feel good as well, too. And we all need that feeling again. It's been a lot of embarrassing losses as of late. Breaking down the full team stats here and also the shot chart. As we can see, the team assist here, way better for New York this game around in comparison to last game. The Knicks against the Milwaukee Bucks, 29 team assists, the Bucks 22. That's the difference right there. You can look at every other stat. We either covered it already or it really has no difference. The amount of fouls, almost no difference. Amount of points in the paint, almost no difference. Fast break points, almost no difference. Blocks, turnovers, steals, almost no difference. Only thing besides the three-point shooting that was very, very different is the rebounding and the assist numbers. When you're passing the ball 29 times as a team, you're finding other players inside the paint as they're cutting with nobody near them. So you're getting easy baskets. You're getting easy buckets in transition. You're finding open players in the corner to shoot, and they have all the space in the world to get those shots. And as you see on the shot chart there, it clearly shows you the Knicks and their three-point shooting. The corner shot was there for them tonight. They were open so many times. The Knicks were finding so many players there, and they were able to convert and get those buckets, dominate, and destroy them. And if they didn't have that bucket, they were cutting baseline, driving inside, and finding an open player driving to the rim, or taking the basket themselves and getting an and one and going to the line, or getting the bucket to go and running to the other side to play defense. But I saw that a lot from New York tonight. And you have to admit what you see from the shot chart here. Milwaukee, look at the amount of missed shots inside the paint. They definitely tried to attack inside because they had nothing going from three. They took 34 three-pointers and only made 10 of them. That's why they tried to attack so much inside, because they had nothing else going down. So they had to be aggressive. And even though they tried to be aggressive, they did it in the first quarter, but the Knicks shut them down for the rest of the game. We did it on very good defense, right behind OG Anunoby, who sparked that defensive effort. Mikal Bridges, who was right alongside him as well, too, switching alongside him. Jalen Brunson was part of that. Campaign was part of that. Karl-Anthony Towns, I thought, did a very good job in terms of blocking shots, getting rebounds, holding up shots at the rim, making sure the other opposing team had a little bit of fear in them, enough to pass the ball. So it's a lot of things that we saw tonight, but it's clear. New York, when they're rebounding, when they're passing, when they're shooting the three ball, at least at 40% or better, shooting great from the field, and they're making sure other players are getting involved. It's not only a one-man show. It's not only isolation and devastation. That's when New York becomes a championship-level team. That's when New York becomes the team that everybody knows that they can be, that they're supposed to be. The team that they are looking like when they had that 9-game win streak. No unselfish type of players on this team. You play unselfishly. You move the ball. You get others involved. It's not hard. And then on defense, you lock in. You keep players in front of you. You communicate. And if you get beat by your man, you ask for help. The opposing player goes in the paint. You try to close out. You try to help. And that way, you do it smartly. So that way you can impose the opposing player's way inside the paint while also keeping another foot right near your defender. New York has to get better at doing that. I think that they will, but it's all up to New York to be able to make those adjustments and be able to knock down those shots, play defense the right way, and get on the boards the right way as well, too. They weren't able to do that against Oklahoma City. And a lot of these losses that we have, they're not able to do that. But tonight is a blueprint for New York in terms of how they can beat any team. Be aggressive, move the ball, move yourself, play defense, attack, prevent players from getting whatever they want inside the paint, keep players from being a inside the paint team to a half-court team, a jump shooting team, especially if they're weak at doing that. Or for that game, they're weak at doing that. If you're able to do that, you're going to give yourself the best chance to win games and blow out teams. This Milwaukee Bucks game shows you that better than any other game I could reference now could tell the story. Tonight, the Knicks turned an embarrassing loss from OKC on Friday into an incredible win against Milwaukee tonight at exactly a point in the season where we needed it, the win that we needed it, the way that we needed it. We got it all today. So happy for New York. So happy for this Knicks team. Finally winning a game that matters. Winning a game against a Bucks team that's fully healthy. And winning a game in dominant fashion. I almost forgot what winning a game in dominant fashion looks like. Winning a game in blowout fashion looks like. Resting your starters by the 7 or 6 minute mark in the fourth quarter, which by Tom Thibodeau standards, it's a very early time. I almost forgot what it felt like. It feels really good to get a reminder of that feeling tonight. I want to see more games, more dominance like this from New York as we move forward. Not only against the bad teams, not only against the okay teams, but against the best teams in the league as well, too, because we need to start doing that as well. This game, great win. It's a great step moving forward, but it's not the step. It's not the win. It is not the statement. It's good. It's not great. If we can start beating Cleveland, Boston, those type of teams, that's when you can start flipping the script. Excuse me. If you can start beating those teams, that's when you can start flipping the script and turning what you want to become a reality actually into a reality. Because when you beat those teams, everybody starts to buy in, including yourself. That's the games that I'm looking forward to. And I can't wait to see what New York does in those games. But that's going to basically do it for this post-game show. I appreciate everybody who tuned in, joined the live stream, joined the chat, whether you're watching, whether you're looking, whether you're engaging, whether you're watching the playback and you're leaving a comment. Either way, I appreciate all you guys. But as you guys know, you watched enough of these post games to know this. I'm not really done with everything. I'm done with the coverage. But like I always do, I'm going to go right into the chat, see what you guys have to say, and speak to you guys. Have some engagement with you guys for maybe, I don't know, let's say, maybe another 15, 20 minutes before we completely end here. And another good thing as well, too, I will be editing this post game and getting the video out tonight. So keep that in mind as well, too. You guys will be getting another video tonight before I close up shop. I'm not sure what time that's going to be. I'm hoping that's going to be by around 10 o'clock. If I can get through it at that point. We'll see what's going to happen at that point, though. And also another update as well. A couple of post games that I'm not going to do. I am not going to be doing the Pistons post game tomorrow. So this is going to be my post game for today. We're not going to be doing that one. I'm going to be doing the post-game show on Wednesday against the Bucks, and I'll be doing the post-game show on Friday against the Timberwolves. I believe the Kings post-game I will be doing as well, too. There's one more post-game within that stretch I will not be doing. I'll announce it as well, too. But I want to let everybody to know, at least for now, the post game tomorrow night for Detroit versus the Knicks. I will not be doing that. Unfortunately, I have prior engagements that I have to go to, so I have to deal with some business, but I will be back on Wednesday calling that important game against the 76ers. And honestly, I really want to see the Knicks destroy the 76ers, kind of like how they did tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks. But without further ado, let's go into the game chat, see what you guys have to say. Appreciate you guys. Bernard says, 44 for the cap. Bang, bang. Knicks, good work. Definitely good work. Captain was going off tonight. 44 points on 16 to 26 shooting. 5 of 10 from 3. 6 assists, 1 turnover. I mean, the captain did exactly what he needed to do, right? So you got to love the captain. Shout out to all my guys in the Red Cup. If you're part of the Red Cup gang this Sunday night, grab your cups. Salute to you. Salute to the captain as well, too. Shout out to you guys. All right. Yuri says, so that's what you meant when you said the signature win. It's like, but not You're right, Yuri. It's not. It's a good win. It's definitely a good win because it's a fully healthy Bucks team. So you have to treat it as a good win. But it's not the same level to if we won that OKC game. If we won that OKC game, that would have topped everything. There's levels to this. So clearly, without a doubt, that would have been better for me, personally speaking. Let's see here. Also, any updates on Mitch? Very good question. No updates on Mitch as of yet. Last I heard about Mitchell Robinson, he's still trying to really get back in terms of fully sprint. He has not been cleared for full sprinting yet. That's the next step for him. I believe at this point in time, that full sprint, at least being cleared for it, should come within this week. So I think within this week, you should probably see him get cleared for the full sprinting. And then from there, it's practice. Now, I don't know how long that's going to take. That might take another 2 weeks. So couple of things we have to go through here, but good question. Let's see. Oran says, Brunson and Towns are one of the best duos in the NBA. I can't deny that. I mean, the numbers prove that. 30 points and 18 rebounds for Karl-Anthony Towns. Another monster game for him. Jalen Brunson, 44, 6, and a couple of rebounds, 1 turnover, 5 of 10 from 3. Yeah. And the crazy part is Dame and Giannis are rated as the best duo in the league right now, I believe, by the numbers. But if you look at what happened tonight, it's clear. The New York Knicks with Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns, I think they have the best duo in the league. And when you beat the team that, quote unquote, has the best duo, I think you take that title. That's how I'm going to see it. That's how I picture it in my head. Let's see here. Michael says, what are potential players we could trade for? And 03 Stang GT says, salute, Troy. Appreciate you. Some players we could trade for right now, you got to look at some tanking teams, really. So I would say Nick Richards is on the table. I would say Jonas Valanciunas is on the table. You could look at some players with the Portland Trailblazers. I like Kamara Tumari. What was it? No, Tumani. Yeah, there. Tumani Kamara. There we go. I like Tumani Kamara from the Portland Trailblazers. He's a wing, very cheap. Probably only going to cost you Jericho Sims if you wanted to do that. So I'd like to see the Knicks do that move. But I'm not saying it's possible right now because I don't know where the Blazers have him, what they feel about him. But if they did want to make a move, there is talent out there. There's also talent on the buyout market, so they can look there. Talent on Westchester, they can look there. But for me, if he could get minutes, I would rather them call up TJ or Chuma rather than make a trade, if I'm being quite honest. And there's not anybody that I can think of right now that's worth giving up assets for. They're not going to really move the needle a lot. So if anybody's not going to really move the needle a lot, why not move a player into a lineup situation and give him minutes where he could make an impact, a difference? And Chuma, I think, could really do that. He can do everything. He's similar to Josh Hart in the way that he gives you everything when he's on the floor. He'll give you passing. He'll give you blocks. He'll give you steals, assists, points. He gives you everything. So I like having another player like that off the bench if he'll actually be utilized. I don't know if he will, though. Let's see. Yuri says, I said slowly, I need him to do a bit better by using the bench a bit more. Thibs is slowly changing. He did. I gave him credit for that, Yuri. I gave him credit. I did say he used the bench a little bit more, although it still needs to expand. I don't like an 8-man rotation still. We need to go 9, 10 deep at some point. Give them 10 minutes each at some point. It's still not good enough, but like I said, it's a good step, I guess. Good step in the right direction. David says, Brunson and Cat proved that they are the NBA's best duo today. Can't deny that. Like I said before, I think when you look at what they've been doing, not even during this game, but like over the course of their entire game, over the course of their entire season thus far, I think they've made the case to be one of the better duos. Because their pick and roll, when they do run it, is crazy. So good, so unstoppable, especially if Towns finds Brunson when he's cutting, or it's the other way around where Brunson's finding Cat, because that's a dangerous combination. Because if you leave Brunson, he's going to hit a three. And if you don't leave Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns is going to catch that ball, drive inside, likely get an and one anyways. That's what makes it very dangerous. Though they have not been running that pick and roll a lot, I wish they ran it a little bit more. I think it would work a little bit more if they did, but something to think about there. David also says all-stars. They deserve to be all-stars, both of them. I think they both have played to be all-star level, all-star ready. I've been voting every day, so I know that they deserve it, so hopefully they get it at some point in time. Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, for me, have been the bright spots for this Knicks team all year, although they have had performances here and there that have not been great. But overall, I think they've helped this Knicks team in more ways than they've hurt them. So yeah, they deserve to be all-stars. They changed the course of this Knicks team, changed the way our franchise is being looked at. So now we need to give them the credit with the all-star nod. So agree there. Isaiah says, Brunson better be starting in the all-star game. This game proved that he's better than Lillard. I said that earlier. I said that the next time I see the fan voting, he better be miles ahead of Damian Lillard, because he was miles better than him right now. He dropped 44 points on the Milwaukee Bucks. 44 points. And they were fully healthy. And they were throwing a number of different defenders on him. I have no idea what was going through Doc Rivers' mind to think that he could throw single coverages at Jalen Brunson. That doesn't make sense. It's like you don't understand what you have when you throw single coverages at him. Doesn't make sense. Oron says, Huck Porty deserves minutes. He does. Excuse me, he does. He did. Not gonna get it. I'm just so tired of talking about it, man. I want him to get minutes. I do. I just know that Tom Thibodeau won't do it consistently. I don't know why. Ask me in a week why he's doing the things he's doing, because I still don't have an answer for it. Maybe in a week I will, because I don't know it now. Michael says, is there any way we can get Cam Johnson from the Nets? He could play D and is an elite shooter. No way. Zero chance. Impossible. We're not going to get Cam Johnson on this team. I hate to blow that bubble up or burst it, but Cam Johnson right now is a very, very good player for the Nets. He's having a career year for them. Everybody sees that. And they want first-round draft pick compensation. I don't even think a pick swap might do it. If you're thinking about any of our pick swaps for 2026 or 2030, if you want to include them in there, we don't have enough even to match salary, I think, at this point in time. So, no, it would not be possible. I don't think it is possible. And I doubt the Knicks are even entertaining or looking that direction. They probably would love a Cam Johnson. They just can't afford a Cam Johnson. So they'll look at other directions, other places before they settle down on what player they actually want on this team. Last comment for David, and then we're done. Doc Rivers is an idiot. Doc is a doctor of good basketball, more like a cursed, delusional idiot. Absolutely cursed historically in game sevens. David is not a Doc Rivers fan, and I can't say that I blame David for not being a Doc Rivers fan. Doc Rivers is pretty bad, especially tonight during tonight's game when he shows you he can't make the adjustments that are needed in a game where Jalen Brunson is cooking you the entire game. Jalen Brunson gave him 23 in the first quarter, and he still was not doubled. Then closed out the game by giving you 44. Barely doubled in that entire game. Cooked each and every defender that he had. Jalen went off. And if we get these performances similar or around the same from JB and Karl-Anthony Towns for the rest of the season, with the same level of defense, but hopefully more involvement from Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby in terms of offense and more efficiency, we're going to be one of the most dominant teams in the entire NBA. And tonight, games like this, They prove to you why New York is so good and can be so dangerous. When our three ball is going in, when we're dominating on the boards, when we're actually playing defense and we're active on defense and we're trying to stop people, we look as good as most teams in the NBA right now. We look as good as some of the top teams in the league right now when we play like that. The problem is it is not consistent enough. So you want to know what the next thing the Knicks need to fix is? Consistency. Making sure what we see today is not something that we see in a month, but something that we see each and every game, because that is what we need to be considered a real, legitimate championship team. But what about you guys? What did you think about tonight's game? What did you like about tonight's game? What did you not like about tonight's game? Maybe there was something about tonight's game that I didn't talk about specifically. If that's the case, leave a comment below and let me know what that is. Because honestly, guys, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans, take care of yourself, your families, and each other. Peace and love.